today I want to do something a little bit different, something a little bit fun. Today I want to return home to our roots. If you're like me and you're a fan of Blight, or you're like me and you're looking for another build, then today I've got something a little bit interesting for you. Very recently, a friend of mine, Will, voided, unlucky, and he very recently was just like, hey man, you know, I'm doing something new, something really cool, and something I really think that you'll enjoy. You should try it with me. It's a lot of fun. And I thought he was a little bit crazy, so he sends me this POB. He's like, look it over, it's something really interesting and really different. I don't know what the heck I'm looking at. I've never seen something like this before. I've never really played something like this before. And he was like, give it a try. I think you'll really enjoy it. So I was just like, sure, what do you need me to do? How do you want me to try this? What do you want me to do? And he's like, get all the gear, put it all together, grab a Blight Ravaged Map, juice it to the moon, and start running your map. So that's what I did. That's exactly 100% of the time what I did. I got all the gear together, and I'm going to talk to you guys about the gear while I run this Blight Ravaged Map and just show you just pretty much how simple it is. You know, the gear itself isn't very complicated. It's not very difficult to grab and put together. Some parts of it are. We'll walk through it. But overall, pretty much we grab the character, we put it together, we get this little Animate Guardian, and this guy just kind of runs around and does his thing, blows a bunch of stuff up, and makes a bunch of animate weapons. And it's overall a very interesting thing I've never knew was in the game and I never tried before, and I'm really intrigued by. You see right away we've made a 6 or 8 modded Blight Ravaged Map, you know, extra life is ES, the whole 9 yards. We put oils on it for more experience. Currently I'm level 93, Will's level 100. He said the build really pops off with the extra levels, so I've got to gain a couple of levels. And you know, instead of doing 5 ways and all that stuff to level, I'm gonna level doing Blight. Blight's some of my favorite content in the game, and you know, if I could find something cool that's sort of AFK and sort of just like I don't have to do anything, it's really helpful for me, both as a parent and, you know, as somebody who's busy with my day-to-day, knowing that I can turn on a Blight Ravage or turn on a Blight map and not really interact too much with it is quite nice. Now, I haven't been able to 1000% fully AFK these. I still build an extra tower or two at the start. So like I'll go into a map, I'll click the button, it'll start, I'll build a tower or two, and I'll just like kind of AFK from there just to be on the safe side. So, you know, you build a tower at like the starting pump just to like make sure that like nothing really seeps through and everything's a little bit slower than normal. You know, your typical like Blight Ravage, like, oh crap buttons. But outside of that, you know, I really don't have anything to worry about. I sit mostly at the pump. I really don't do anything. And the character itself is really strong. Now, you know, you'll get your bosses. You'll have to, actually, I should have put more bosses on this for the showcase. That's what I should have done. I should have like demonstrated more bosses. There is a change that I do want to make looking at that boss, and I'll talk to you guys about that when we get there. But overall, the character itself is really fun. You know, your CI, I'll hide my face. Your CI, you're immune to all resistances. You have some armor. You have a flask swap to get more armor. You have good resistances. Your CI, your block and spell cap. You're immune to all ailments. You know, I still haven't done these. I've got to do those still. And overall, the build itself, you know, really fun. You can see the minions, they just kind of like run off in a no man's land. You don't have to do anything. They just killed that boss. And they, you know, the build itself is sweet. You know, Blight Ravage, you know, there's something that is, I would say, an acquired taste, but I really don't think people realize just how profitable or how expensive or how awesome these can be. Yesterday on stream when I was doing this, I started carrying people through the Blight Ravage challenge, where you have to, you know, get a tier 16 Blight Ravage map, 5 mod it and do it. I know people are selling challenge spots for 10 divs a spot, and overall this is a build that I'm going to actually, like, I don't want to say finish the league up with. I'm sure I'll find something else to put together, but this is a build that I plan on doing my challenges with. I still have a bunch of challenges left that I have to do, and I'm going to use this as the build that I'm going to do my challenges. And I think it'll be really fun and something awesome to just kind of like experiment with. Now, you see right now, mobs are starting to get close by. Things are starting to get a little bit hectic. The minions, they're running all around, and they're really killing the mobs and doing what they need to do. And I don't have too much fear. I'm still a little skeptical because, you know, I haven't fully leveled the build yet. I'm missing a lot of damage nodes. And, you know, when I walk you guys through this, I'll show you guys what I'm missing, what I'm not missing, what you guys need to get, what you guys don't need to get. But overall, like, you know, I always worry because, you know, things always go south. Something always like gets by, and, you know, accidents happen. There's nothing we can do about it. But overall, you know, it's getting a little bit tense. It's getting a little bit tense. It's starting to worry a little bit. And then out of nowhere, the mobs, they just come flying out of nowhere and they kill everything. And I'm wondering, like, am I going to fail this? Oh my God, what's going on? I'm getting a little nervous. This is starting. Should I build something here? They've got those guys really stuck. You know, what's the play? What do I do? What am I supposed to do? What do I not do? Should I help? Should I not help? Should I cast a spell? Should I cast my curse? Do I not cast my curse? Do I let the mobs do their thing? The millions of questions going through my head. But there are changes I would make to this, and I'm going to make sure that you guys know about the changes that I would make, and then you guys don't have the issues that I have. Obviously, the change I need to make is really simple. I've just been really lazy. But I wanted to showcase the build to you in the form that I have it in, and pretty much how it works and what's going on, so that if you guys decide to build this, you know exactly what you're walking into and exactly the type of content and stuff that it can and can't do. Now, when we finish this, we'll take a look at the loot. I'll walk you through why Blight Ravaged are really good and what loot looks like. And then we'll go jump into a really quick map. After that map, we'll talk about the character, the gear, what it does, how it works, so forth and so on. And you guys can really get a good feel for how the build plays and pretty much just how it works overall. I should just play and just like finish this up, but you know, I really wanted to showcase to you guys like the full map and the experience. All the bosses are dead. The rewards are starting to cut through. We're just gonna run a little bit just to like speed this up a little bit for you guys. The last time I did one of these and I left the loot out, somebody's gonna get really mad that I leave the loot out. So I'm gonna showcase you guys the loot, and I'm gonna make sure you guys kind of understand what's going on in Blight Ravaged and what we're looking for, what we're not looking for. A couple of things to note: when we're doing Blight Ravaged, if you're not using experience oils, you want to make sure that you're using more boss oils. You know, Stranglegrass is really expensive. That armor, Spore Guard's really expensive. Things that you're looking for from the pump explosion that are really good. You're looking for a bunch of tier 6 or I-86 bases. So you see here, we got tons and tons of spine bows, tons of pig face bastinets, full dragon scales, despot axes, stuff like this. These are all really good bases to craft on. You'll get a bunch of flasks too, and overall, just good bases to mess around on. Your loot filter, you should really tailor it towards Blight Ravage. We know GCPs are really expensive, so we can actually, if you know, not feeling too lazy and you want to pick those up and sell those, we get fusings, chromes, blessed orbs, regrets. We're getting a lot of bubblegum currency that a lot of people right now currently aren't looting. Now keep that in mind. I said a lot of people aren't looting these. You know, we get a bunch of different oils. Gold oil right now is out of control. I could not believe this when I saw this. Gold oil itself was one divine in oil, which was absolutely crazy to me. I've never seen it spike so high and out of control. Tainted oils, I know, are close to 10 divs each, which is wild. You know, I'm really hoping to get a tainted oil in this video. I haven't gotten one since I started last night. It'd be really cool. And then you get other really cool things. You can find really neat synthesized bases. You can find a bunch of sack fragments, which are actually really expensive this league, because people are using them when they, like, you know, go farm at Zeri and Magic Find and stuff like that. You also want the sack fragments for yourself because you're going to be running Blight maps and they're really good for Blighted maps, and you want to add more quantity. You get tons and tons and tons of stack decks doing this. Sometimes we get synthesized armor. Synthesized armor right now also very, very, very expensive. And then other really cool things are you can get essences. Lots of these essences are worth a complete ton of money, which is crazy to me. You also get tons and tons and tons of scarabs. So, you know, just it's all these little things that doing Blight maps really add up. And the beauty to this build is, you know, if you're like me and you're busy throughout the day and you can't sit down and play, Blighted maps are pretty much just perfect to just kind of like turn on an AFK. You know, they're great to just turn on and not really worry about what you're doing or what's going on, or like, you know, you could just turn them on and come back in 5 or 10 or 15 minutes whenever you're done doing what you're doing and loot your map and get everything that you need. So if you have money sitting around and you just need something to like build and, you know, something to get you a little bit of extra income, this is literally perfect. It does everything that I want it to do in terms of, like, you know, being busy. Lots of random stuff. Nice. All right, let's get out of here. Let's talk about a map. How do maps work and what's it look like when it maps? As far as mapping goes, this map or this build is pretty much the equivalent to an auto bomber. Essentially, I can open a map, I can go run it a full map. I don't have to worry about anything. It does everything that I need it to do, and it clears everything. Like I said, this is going to be the build that I use personally to finish running the rest of my challenges. So for example, I need to do destructive play for a challenge. So I'm just going to take out, well, not that. What am I going to take out? I'm going to take out points here. Take out these, actually. I got to do destructive play. So I'll show you. Click on this. Get some more map dupe nodes because they're really good. Okay. Take this out, throw this in. Click on essence, and then we need this. All right. I'll show you guys with the wildwood too. So if you're like me and you're just doing very basic stuff and you're doing like the wildwood while you're mapping because it doesn't hurt to do the wildwood, you know. Okay. So point of interest here. So he's there. So this other one should be probably a little bit more north, but there's a trail here. So let's follow the trail. Now, I'm not going to do this wildwood perfect as I am not attempting to magic find. All right, so this one's south. That's the wrong orb. Right, that's the wrong orb. That was the wrong orb. And this way? Nope. Okay. This actually, if I would have like really tried, this would have been like a really nice map. This is perfect too for this little demo. Now, this build struggles or can struggle with single target if you don't have everything that you need and you don't have mobs and you haven't killed mobs recently. But fixing the single target actually isn't that much of a pain. I can show you guys very easily how to fix your single target. You see right away, we're just like running in a straight line. Our minions, they're pretty much just kicking ass. We don't have too much to worry about. And this is a relatively, I would say, an average sized juicy map. You know, 3,000 blue, 1,200 purple, a little bit of yellow. And our minions, they're just doing what they need to do. They're not really stopping. They're not really caring. Our Animate Guardians still alive, knock on wood. He was really expensive. Let's find something strong. Here's the essence mob. We just killed those essences. Unfortunately, that wasn't like a really big essence. I'm hoping the next essence that we find is really powerful. Let's see over here. Oh, no, I guess not this one either. Where is he going? Chill, bro. This one juicer? Nope. I was really hoping for a juicer tier 16 essence. But you see, even essence mobs, like, they just die. Like, everything's easy and simple and everything just dies. You know, we just did a Blight Ravaged, so in theory, this shouldn't be too hard. We're gonna put a safety portal just in case, you know, accidents happen, you never know. And our minions, they're just going around doing what they do. I have found it very easy to level with this build if you don't try and do a bunch of crazy stuff. I've been trying to really push the build to the max, so I know where to go with it and where to take it, what to do, what not to do. But, you know, overall, I found this build to be very relaxing to play, very straightforward, very to the point. You know, not a whole lot of issues overall. You see, like, even this Blight here, the minions, they just kind of like do their thing. They run all around, they clear and kill everything. There's a boss down here. It immediately kills the boss. It you know, we're talking like these mobs, well, they have the wildwood on them. Some of them have the wildwood on them. So, you know, they're not like really pushover mobs. They're pretty tanky and pretty strong. Okay. And see, like that one, those guys were double empowered, and it just you just cut right through everything. You know, it's really hard to find the words for this build because, like, as I play it and as I look at what's going on, it's actually insane to me how overall strong this is, and it's crazy. It's actually crazy. You know, we see we got a couple of blighted maps there. We feel really good. We got some anointed jewelry. We feel good. If you want to know about like what I'm doing strat wise though, leave a comment down below. Let me know. I'll talk to you guys about what this strat is with the whole blight and the anointed jewelry. I know some of you guys know and some of you guys don't know, but if you want to know more about why I'm checking jewelry and checking the anoints and stuff, let me know and I'll make you guys a quick video about that too. Now we get over here. We wait for the boss to spawn, 10 years. And then hopefully, knock on wood, Baran falls over. Everybody's like, ooh, ah, ee. And then, you know, it's just pretty cool to look at. Baran should fall over, knock on wood. I don't think I would take this build to boss, though. Like, do Ubers. I don't want my Animate Guardian to die. I'm gonna, ooh, what did we drop over there? Oh, give me that. Oh, right, time to up the stakes. I totally forgot I was working on that. Now, I've yet to cast Elemental Weakness or my brand, so we'll LE Weakness Baran, we'll brand him, and, you know, he's dead. I know somebody's gonna be like, eh, your DPS is okay, it could be better. You're right, you're 100% right. The DPS itself could be better. But let's talk about it. Things that I want to point out in this showcase. My build is level 93. I am missing a ton of stat points. I actually don't even have some of my gems fully leveled. Like my minion damage is not fully leveled. My awaken multi-strike, not fully leveled. So there's a lot of hiccups and a lot of things in this build that just aren't fully there yet and flushed out. But overall, the build itself is really fun. And I really just kind of want to give you guys a rundown of what it is, how it works, what I'm doing. And if you like it, maybe, you know, you guys give it a shot. Essentially, the whole premise of the build is we use an Animate Guardian. You see the Animate Guardian here. He's chilling. He's got pretty good gear on him. He's got the Maven Boots, Void Forge, a Gruckful Armor, and the Helm from All. I'll have links down below in the description to buy orders for all of the gear for the Animate Guardian. The Animate Guardian, right off the bat, I'm going to tell you, is about 75, 80 divs. He's very expensive, but he's the main source of damage. He's everything we invest our time and money into, and he's the reason why everything happens. Essentially, every time the Animate Guardian kills, it triggers our armor. Our armor says trigger level 20 Animate Guardian weapon when Animate Guardian kills. So if the Animate Guardian kills, we trigger level 20 Animate weapon. That has a 10% chance to trigger level 18, and pretty much our minions just go off and they just like hack and slash and kill everything. And as one thing dies, it auto bombs and chains and more things die. Our Animate Guardian then deals more damage for each animate weapon. Animate minions melee damage splash, so we have nice splash damage. And, you know, overall, you can't have non-animated minions, so our entire source of damage comes from chains of command. Now, if you're really, really worried about single target, or if you don't have... Do I not actually have one? I don't think I have one. If you're really worried about single target and you don't know what to do, there is a flask. I'll also put the description down below, called a Withering Jar. It summons little worms. You can actually like go into a boss room, click on the jar instead of this flask, and have the little wormies go off and kill everything and start the chain reaction. But I'll put a link to that down below. Our armor does not need to be linked. Our armor does not need to be +3. The only thing you care is +1 level of socketed gems on the armor. The armor is about 1 div. Essentially what it is when we summon and we trigger the animate weapon, it is supported by everything in the armor. So we have Awaken Multi-Strike. This is very expensive. We have Awaken Wedge so that we don't ever have to worry about Reflect. We have Awaken Minion Damage, so we deal a ton of damage. Increased Critical Damage so that we have Critical Strike Multi. We have Awaken Melee Fizz Damage, so we deal more damage. And then we have Ruthless Support so that we deal more damage. As you level your gems, as you put quality on them, as you get everything together, the minions will deal more and more and more damage. I have tested this on stream, and I have played it for like 85, 86, 90, 91, and every time you put points in the more damage multipliers, the damage in the build gets better and feels better. Our armor is actually a 7 or 8 link because it's supported by Ol Natol's Vow. Inside the armor, or inside the necklace, we have fresh meat. For those of you guys who don't know, Ol Natol's necklace itself says that supported socketed gems can also support the body armor. So essentially this necklace with a gem in it makes this a 7 link, plus the Animate Guardian triggers an 8 link. This necklace itself is very expensive. You do not need a really good one. You do not need a really well rolled one. Put the build together, equip the necklace, and see where your resistance is at, or put everything together with the build, then buy the necklace and see your resistance is at. Don't be like me and buy the necklace and forget that you're CI and try to divine spam until you're positive chaos resistance, and then realize that you don't need the chaos resistance at all. So don't do that. That's a mistake that I made. Our weapon, we're using Mata's Teachings. Essentially, this says minions base critical strike chance is equal to the critical strike chance of your main hand weapon. This thing can roll +2 to all minion spell skill gems and 50% critical strike chance. That's really good and really strong. And if you pretty much go for like a really well rolled one, which I would recommend, you know, they're like 7, 8 divs. You don't need don't search for it with this. It's like factoring the extra crit from the weapon. Don't worry about that. You just want 50% critical strike chance, and then you want to quality it, use beast, corrupt it, make it 30% with the enchant on it, so that you have more crit per quality. And just buy a nice one. You don't care too much about the int. You have a ton of int. More int is better, obviously, but don't worry too much about it. Our weapon has vitality in it, so we have another aura, we have precision, and we have tempest shield. Before somebody in the comments immediately goes, why are you running vitality or CI? We pair that with zealous oath so that our life regeneration applies to our energy shield instead. That was like the first thing somebody said to me when they were watching. They're like, hey, you have vitality, Mr. CI person. And I was just like, you're right, I do, but let me tell you why. Our helmet, we're using an ancient skull. I actually bought a pretty decent one off trade so that I have reduced minion life. I think it's like this. You search. I've spent about 10 divs on it. I do remember it being a little bit expensive. You want a nicely rolled one for the reduced max minion life, just because you want your Animate Guardian to have the most amount of life possible and not drop dead. He's expensive. I really don't want to have to rebuy him ever. I know I'm gonna have to rebuy him once, and I'm gonna cry about it, and I don't want to cry about it, and I'm really sad thinking about having to buy him again. He's got like 115,000 life. He could have more. He probably should have more. I'm still leveling. Our helmet, we have a 21 Animate Guardian. Everything boosted to level 25. We have a feeding frenzy support, a wedge so that he doesn't accidentally die to reflect, and a minion life to give him more minion life. Our shield, we do Aegis Aurora. Aegis Aurora is simply because we're block capped. This shield is great for survivability. It helps keep us alive. We take Fizz as extra chaos if we can get it on it. If you can get a Fizz as extra chaos on the shield, I really recommend doing it. It's a little bit more pricey that way, but essentially because we're CI, we mitigate 8% of physical damage just because we're CI, and you spend a little bit extra for defensive layers. You don't need the Fizz as extra chaos. It's the nice quality of life. Our shield has an elemental weakness in it so that we can weaken everything. We have Defiance Banner, and we have Flame Dash. Now, what I would do instead, which I'm going to do, is this. I would search for the Gravebind gloves. These are the gloves that are on the Animate Guardian, and instead, I would do this and search for cursed enemies with LE weakness. It is a weaker LE weakness, but if you have the money, I would buy these. I know it's really expensive. I'm planning on buying them. I can't believe how expensive they've gotten. I'm putting these back on my loot filter. This is insane. Essentially, you want the Animate Guardian itself to cast the LE weakness so that you could be super lazy about it and you don't really have to do anything. I would like to figure out a way to automate the Desecrate setup, but I haven't figured that out yet. But this is just like having him be able to hit everything is just a nice quality of life, and you don't really have to worry. Our gloves, I'm doing a Triad grip. Ideally, the thing that you really care about on is +1 level of socketed gems. You want to push your Enlighten 4 to Enlighten 5. You don't need Awaken Enlighten. This is just what I've had all league. This is the same Enlighten that I swap between all of my characters. You just want Enlighten support 4 so that you can fit in all of your auras. Enlighten support 4 goes to Enlighten support 5. Do not buy Awaken Enlighten. And Awaken Enlighten's more money. We are pairing this with Determination, Purity of Elements, and Discipline. There is a world where you don't use Purity of Elements and you gain your ailment immunity from Soul of the Brine King plus other things, and you can get that ailment immunity on Flask. And essentially what you can do is you can actually replace this with Haste if you want to, but I like being lazy and I don't want to worry about ailments, so I like Purity of Elements. Our gloves, like I said, just +1 socketed gems. Somebody asked me the other day, they're like, oh, well, you have a +3 pair, does it really matter? I mean, the extra levels is nice, you don't really need them. There was it was at the time when I bought the gloves, it was the same price to buy +1 socketed gems as it was to buy a +3, so I bought a +3. +1s are like a divine. The guy was selling them for super cheap. It was like 4 or 5 divs. I was just like, I'm just gonna buy this. So if you see them and they're cheap and you want to spend the money on it, go for it. You don't need it. Our belt, classic Mageblood. And Mageblood speaks for itself. Our boots are really interesting. I bought Fractured Int because I don't remember why. I think we buy Fractured Int so that we have more Int, so we have more ES. But I bought Fractured Int. I slammed it with a bunch of Abyssal Fossils, or a Hollow Fossil to get the Abyssal socket. Essentially, you just slam the boots with Hollow Fossils until you hit life regen. It wasn't too hard. I think it cost me like 10 or 15 divs to craft the suffixes of the boots. about 10 or 15 fossils, and I hit the regen. The regen mod itself is a really high weighting, and if you hit regen, it can roll any of the weightings, so you just have to hit regen and hope to hit tier 1 or tier 2. Preferably you hit tier 1 because it's such a big roll. The prefixes, I just Eldritch Chaos and spam for prefixes. It wasn't that bad to make the boots. If you're stuck and you're lost and you're confused, ask down below. I'll give you guys a nice little write-up. Our boots have our Desecrate, our Arcanist brand, and our Spirit offering. So, you know, if you're not lazy, you cast your Arcanist brand, it triggers, attaches, it desecrates, it does all the cool Spirit offering stuff, it sucks up all the corpses, and it gives you all the benefits of that from being a Necromancer. We do have an Abyssal Jewel. We have attack and cast speed on minions, extra fizz, minion life, and strength. Our build is missing strength and dex. You do need a lot of strength and dex. This is one of the places that we're getting strength alongside of Mage Blood. So when you make this jewel for your boots, it has to have strength on it. Otherwise, you're going to be short strength. If you get strength in and you hit your strength requirements, you're thrilled, but you do need strength on the boots in this socket. It's very important to note. Now, the last thing we have is our ring. I bought a ring with fractured minion damage. I then used a bunch of essences for a minion movement speed so that the minions aren't slow. I then hit tier 1 minion max life. I locked my suffixes reforged speed. I hit minion attack and cast speed because it's higher weighting than regular attack and cast speed, and I got really lucky. Then I locked suffixes again. I reforged defense. I hit tier 1 energy shield, and I crafted on non-channeling skills. Yeah, I got really lucky. The ring is insane. Just use essences, craft it with essences. The essence for minion movement speed actually isn't too expensive in the grand scheme of things. I feel like if you're already building this, you're okay with things being expensive. I bought like 150 of these things or 200 of these things. I used like a quarter of them, and then I like messed around with the essences trying to make another one, and you know, just kind of did what I did. These are about 19 to a divine. They're probably the cheapest of the essences, considering that some of them are 11 to a divine. And then when you look at things like envies are like, oh, I guess they're going up. Nice. What are loathings? Loathings are 6 to a divine. They're definitely the cheapest of the essences. So making the rings not terrible. Could be worse. We have a Starlight Chalice. This is how we get exposure on the build. Since our Animate Guardians using Void Forge, and we summon a bunch of Void Forges, we deal no non-elemental damage. So this is really nice because, you know, we just cycle all of our damage and deal a bunch of elemental damage. If you don't want to use this and you're doing a harder fight, you can get the Withering Jar. You can put that on. We talked about that. Our flask, I have a Quicksilver Flask with increased armor. If you're doing harder content and you're worried about survivability, or you really want to AFK Blighted maps, this is a better flask. You just make this swap here for just tons and tons and tons of armor. You see, this gives us 42,000 armor before all the other shenanigans. This gives us 29,000. So this is like really nice. We have a silver topaz. We have a silver. We have a topaz, a sapphire, and a ruby flask. These are our elemental resistance flasks. They give us reduced effective damage taken, which is amplified by Mage Blood. This one gives us immunity to bleeding and corrupted blood. This one gives us more movement speed, and this one gives us life regeneration, which works with our Zealot's Oath. You see, ourself, we're pretty slow. If I make the flask swap, I'm pretty fast. I sacrificed a little bit of defenses for movement speed. Personal quality of life, you don't have to do that. Outside of that, that's pretty much everything for the gearing of the character. The Animate Guardian, like I said, all of the gear is in the description down below. And in terms of the skill tree and stuff like that, we are a Necromancer. We do want Command of Darkness so that we deal more damage. We do want Mindless Aggression so our minions are crazy. We want Bone Barrier as an extra sort of defense for when we're running around and we're actively playing. And we're taking Plaguebringer so that if we consume a corpse and we're actively playing, we get more damage and more damage reduction. Everything else on our Atlas tree is pretty straightforward and simple. We do need an RMR charm here, or reduced mana reservation efficiency of skills charm here. If you can get one with a nice minion mod on it, this is preferable. You need another one here. This is so that you can fit all of your auras. You need at least an 11 and at least a 12 to be able to fit everything. I will barely fit everything. You can check if you could do 2 11s. I don't know if 2 11s will work. You could POB and see if 2 11s will work. I get 2% of maximum mana as extra energy shield. This thing can actually roll really high if you manage to find it for a reasonable price. And then lastly, this onslaught one is insane. I didn't realize how massive adding the onslaught was. As soon as I found King of the Mist and killed him and put this on, the extra onslaught was pretty much crazy, and I really recommend it. Otherwise, our tree is pretty straightforward. It's a standard minion tree. I'm missing right now, I'm missing Vicious Bite from all of my clusters. That's a ton of damage that I'm missing. I would like to change the pathing on this to down here, but you know, we'll get there. Essentially, our tree, we do an Adorn setup. The better the percent the Adorn, the better. I've been told anything over 100 is fine. I've got a 129. I probably want to get a 130, maybe a 140. You know, spend a little bit of money, get a better one, and get more damage. We take all of the minion nodes here. We're taking influence. We're taking CI. We have 3 of these cluster, which are Feasting Fiends, Renewal, and Vicious Bites. If you can get these with Strength or Dex, they'll be a lot better. The build itself suffers with Strength and Dex. I would really recommend, when looking for Abyss Jewels for this build, since we're doing Adorn, you need 2 of these jewels that have Fizz damage and Dexterity on them. Because we're doing Adorn, the jewels have to be blue. They have to be 2 modded. You can make them yourselves, and they have to be corrupted. So essentially, if you're going to roll your own jewels, make sure they're eye level 83. Roll for tier 1 Fizz, tier 2 Fizz, and a good suffix, in this case, Fizz and Dex. Corrupt it, pray it doesn't go yellow, pray it doesn't brick, and then you have your jewel. I have 2 with Dex. This one's tier 1, and this one is tier 2, tier 1. You see that this jewel right there adds 36 Dex and doubles the Fizz damage. We have like 7 of these, or something like that, something insane amount. We have a ton of them, and it really adds tons and tons of damage every time you get one of these jewel sockets in. It's crazy. We have 2 right here. We path up here to this jewel socket. We have another one here. This one's increasing cast and attack speed. We only care about the attack speed, and we, you know, have Fizz. I should have divined this better before I corrupted it. I wasn't thinking. I just saw the 2 mods, clicked corrupt, and was like, yay, it went. We're thrilled. You know, we take chance to block spell damage here because we're spell blocked. We have more ES and life here. We get more minion damage here. We just have some cast speed. It's part of the pathing. We come over here. We get minion duration, skills, damage, the whole 9 yards. We have an impossible escape for the agnostic. The agnostic is over here. We'll get to that in a second. We have another cluster here for Feasting Fiends, Renewal, and Vicious Bite. Once again, same cluster here, attack and cast speed and Fizz, attack and cast speed and Fizz. We eventually want to get Vicious Bite on all of these clusters. That comes with levels. We're taking Fearsome Force for crit strike chance, crit multi. As I level more, I would like to take the 2 crit multi nodes instead of the critical strike chance node. I have the critical strike chance node until I get the feasting or the Vicious Bite nodes. Come down here for sovereignty. We have Zealous Oath for life regeneration. We're getting minion damage here, minion damage here, minion max life here. When you're searching for this timeless jewel, ideally, you would like to search for a point here, a point here, a point here, and a point there. This is what I found in the meantime. I'm eventually going to change this out, assuming one of the guys logs on with a better one, and I can change this 2 node setup to this node here. This will free up this node there, allowing me to make the change there. We are using an impossible escape for the agnostic, which is over here. This is the agnostic. If I take this out and I hover over that, that's the agnostic. We're doing that so that we can get the point here for minion max life, and so that we can get redemption, so that we get attack and cast speed and damage for our minions, and so that we can get Righteous Army for regenerate life, minion damage, and regenerate minions. We're coming down here to Divine Shield. We cannot take physical damage prevented from hits, is regenerated as energy shield per second. This is just a free 3% Fizz damage reduction. We're taking Glancing Blows so that we are capped. As you see, we are spell and block capped, which is really nice. We have a 3rd cluster for Feasting Fiends, Renewal, Vicious Bite. Once again, we have the minion attack and cast speed clusters with the extra physical damage on them. And then we come over here for a Watcher's Eye. We just take an extremely defensive Watcher's Eye crit for determination so that we take less critical strike damage, because the blue side of the Wildwood is a ton of crit, and we get a ton of block and attack damage for determination. I have a 3 modded one just because I just happen to find a 3 modded one. These themselves are roughly about 30 divs. They were a lot cheaper yesterday. Or when I bought them, they were like 25, and I just, you know, for the same price as a 2 modded, there was a 3 modded, so I bought the 3 modded. I'm not using Grace in this setup. I'm assuming eventually one day I'll have a build that I use Determination and Grace this league, and it's just one of those like I bought for a future build kind of things. So overall, that's the build. That's everything about it, and it runs really smooth. It performs a lot better than I thought. I didn't really think I was gonna like it at first because I'm not really a big minion guy, but it's really cool, man. I was genuinely really surprised, and it's been a really good playtime. As far as these things go, I would probably take Solaris or Arakali for reduced damage over time. I think damage over time is going to be a problem for this build. And I would take, where is it? Where's the fire one? Nope, this one. I would take Aberath and Arakali. So when I'm done with this video, I'm going to go work on these. I'm going to go buy the upgraded gloves, and that's what I would do. For now, friends, I hope this video was helpful to you guys. And if you like this build and you want to know about the blight farming strategy that I was doing in maps, please leave a comment, a like, subscribe, do all that fun stuff, turn on notifications. If you made it this far in the video, I really appreciate it. Thank you so much for all the continued support. I'm going to get this video out to you guys, and I'll see you all in the next one.